What we say to a lot of people is everything in life is a game. Games have rules. When most people want to come in and be self-employed, run their own business, they don't understand the rules of the game. So we give them lots of questions to go out and get answers, and then they can sit down on a table and say, will we start this business up or won't we start?
A business plan is it's an outline of the goals and objectives of a business. It's a tool that you use to help you in planning your business and also in effectively running your business.
Ian Martin is a successful businessman. He's the owner of the Avocado Group, a business that provides catering for corporate functions. In addition to this, he recently started another business, a restaurant called The View.
I'm a chef by trade and have been cooking for the last 25 years. You can't operate a business without a business plan. A plan gives the business infrastructure, it gives it systems, it gives it goals that it needs to achieve. I feel very strongly that there's no way a business could operate without one.
There are many different types of business plan, but most of them contain the same basic information, divided up into sections. The essential elements of a business plan are the executive summary, the operational plan, the marketing plan, and the financial plan. Many people also include vision and mission statements.
What's the main purpose of your business? What do you want to be? Or when your customers think of your business, what do you want them to think?
To provide food and service to a standard of excellence. It sounds very simple to have a one sentence that sums up your business. It's actually very hard. When we first started the business, we sat down over a glass of wine or two and spent hours trying to formulate exactly what we were trying to achieve. And when we started out, we probably didn't need that because there were only two of us and we knew what we wanted to achieve. But as you bring more people into your organisation, you need to communicate to them what you're trying to achieve and what the business is all about. And today I have people working for me who I rarely see. The good thing about the business plan is I can communicate to them what this business is all about.
You need to be able to communicate kind of what your business is about, where you tend to go to others, mainly because then you require them to come along on that journey with you. You require their support, and often you require their money as well.
The trouble is we don't get any percentage out of people doing that.
No, true.
Yeah,
they want to pay as a group.
You like a glass of wine, I'll take the $5 and forget it.
Things are going to go.
We have to put an extra staff person on.
It's too slow.
Alright.
We have set quite a number of goals, and I think the key to that is that the goals have to be quantifiable. You have to be able to measure them so that you can judge your performance. It's very difficult when you start a new business to know where you're going to be in 3 months and 6 months' time. So you need to set those goals and you need to check those goals on a regular basis. Some of the goals we've set ourselves here in the restaurant are revenue targets, profitability targets, costs, things like food costs, staff costs, service levels, and certainly we monitor those on a regular basis.
The idea of setting goals is that they give you something to aim at, and you can track your progress against your goals. That means that you can revisit your goals and you can look back and see whether you've met your targets or your forecasts. And most important, if you haven't, why haven't you?
That's lovely.
SWOT analysis, SWOT, stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats.
Some of the things we identified in our SWOT analysis strengths were certainly our current business, it had a lot of infrastructure. We weren't starting a business from scratch. We had a number of systems that we could pick up for our operation and put in place here. With regard to weaknesses, perhaps our skill set. We are a catering company, a slightly different skill set to operating a restaurant. A lot of the staff were focused on catering, which is function-based, whereas a la carte, people are ordering. With a function, we turn up, we know exactly what people are eating. So, slightly different skill set that we perhaps had to rewrite job descriptions and things like that to take into account. I had been a member of this club 20 years ago and knew that it was here. I knew one of the board of directors, and he mentioned to me that the current operator was moving on. I came down over a lunch or two and looked at the place and saw the potential. I also saw how underutilised it was. The potential here for functions, for weddings, is just enormous, and that's what attracted me to the business opportunity. With regard to threats in our SWOT analysis, certainly the time of year that we opened up in, while from a revenue point of view was very good, from an operational view was very difficult. We've opened up just prior to Christmas, traditionally an extremely busy time of year. It's also proved difficult in securing staff. Another threat we identified was government legislation. There's a degree of change in government legislation with regard to poker machine tax, and that will affect the profitability of the club, which could have a domino effect and affect us.
Unfortunately, what a lot of people do is they spend the majority of their funds on establishing a business, then don't have enough money to market it. But it's critical to your success that you get that marketing, your marketing strategies, get that right the first time.
It's one thing to be a wonderful chef or a fantastic host. If people don't know about you, then there's no point having a wonderful product. First of all, you identify who you believe your customers are going to be. Then you work out how you're going to communicate with those people. And thirdly, you work out what you're going to communicate to those people.
The unique selling point, which is what's different about your product. Why should I buy your product or service over somebody else's?
The restaurant here at Colliery Beach Services Club is called The View, and for a very good reason, and that is the view of the beach, and that is what I believe is our unique selling point.
What a common problem is some, particularly with inventors, they see a need for a product, so they go and invent it, spend some money, but what they didn't do is go out and see who else wanted the product, how much would they pay for it, and how much profit would they make. The last thing you want to do is to set up your business and then you can't make profit because people want to buy for less than what it's costing you to make it or sell it.
From a marketing perspective, price has to do with the customer's perception of value. It looks at the stack of benefits that customers are buying with their money and tries to convince them that they are getting value for money.
One of the great temptations when people start a business and they're thinking about their pricing is to price too low, to try and undercut the competitors. And I have to say that's a big, big mistake. My advice always to my clients is don't try to undercut your competitors' prices. Look rather to improve on the quality, improve on the service, improve on the delivery. Market research, certainly in the UK, and I believe it to be true around the world, has proved that in no market sector does the lowest cost supplier have the largest market share. What that means is that customers are discerning. They don't all go for the cheapest. What customers do is they go for best value.
The restaurant industry is an extremely competitive market. Another reason that I was attracted to this is because, given our view, direct competition, I believe, is very limited, despite the fact we're surrounded by a number of restaurants. Yet there aren't very many restaurants where you can sit and view the beach or view the water.
Someone comes in and pays a deposit, goes in as deposit income, not food sales, it's a deposit, and then when people come in and eat the food, you ring up the sale, but when they physically pay it, they're going to be short, so you're going to put $50 cash, $25 prepaid.
The operations section is looking at how the business will be run. You can include in this your management structure, who the individuals are, the personnel, how many staff you are going to employ. It'll look at if there's going to be manufacturing or production, how that will be run and who will run each part of it. It will look at what the structure of the business will take. Will it be a partnership, a sole proprietorship, a company? So it's just the day-to-day running of the business.
Systems change between operations, given locations of different things within the restaurant, where sideboards are, where the bar is. We've been operating now 5 weeks and we're still drawing up our operations manual, and it will be ongoing. I think that's a very important key about business plans is it's not something you do, tick off and put in the top drawer and forget about. It's something you are constantly monitoring, it's something you are constantly changing, and certainly with operations you are continually improving what you're doing.
Make sense?
It's 10%,
And that's the same?
Of
Yes.
every credit card tip.
That's right.
This is the section that most people are terrified of. It is also the section that most people will turn to first, especially banks. If you're looking for a loan, or investors, they want to see the bottom line. Essentially, it will have a projected profit and loss, a balance sheet with the assets and liabilities. It will have cash flow for the first year, which is very important for small business to ensure that they've got money to cover their bills on a monthly basis. It will look at things like establishment costs and how much finance is needed to set up the business.
Certainly, from a finance point of view, we need to set ourselves goals, revenue targets, profitability targets, and identify cost structures and cost percentages. In the restaurant business, the two biggest costs are your food costs and your staff costs. Again, we monitor those on a week-by-week basis to make sure that the predictions we made are true or false.
What a cash flow projection is a number of things. It projects your costs, operating costs, stock, etc., staff, which basically you would know. The big problem is predicting income, and unfortunately a common mistake is that most people put a higher income than what they expect and lower expenditure, where we try to get people to put in minimum income, maximum expenditure, and if you can survive, well, there's a chance that this business might work.
It's a really good idea to look at existing benchmarks within your industry. So these would be, for example, if you're setting up a cafe, there is research done through universities where they would speak to 100 cafes and say, can you send us your profit and loss? And what they do is they analyse for cafes in a specific location with a specific profit margin. They spend 2% on advertising, they spend 20% on rental premises and 20% of gross profit on staffing. And often there's benchmarks available through business enterprise centres and government departments.
At what point in time, at what point in my business, because I've put all money in, do I actually break square? In other words, I've got back the amount of money that I've put in. We need to know that, because if you don't have enough funds available and your break even is going, say, 9-12 months and you only have enough money for 6 months, you have a problem.
Before you open the doors, you need to identify in the restaurant, it's bums on seats, it's people coming through the door. How many people through that door do I need to pay all my costs? First thing in doing that is identifying your fixed costs, such as rent, full-time staff. Once you've identified those, you go into variable costs, casual staff, and as you get busier, you have higher variable costs.
The executive summary is basically, it's done last in a business plan. It's a one-page summary of what's contained in the rest of the plan. It's usually what banks and investors will look at first.
Even though the executive summary is written last, it goes at the very front of the business plan. It is written so that people reading the plan can quickly get an idea of exactly what your business will do and how likely it is to make a profit.
Your executive summary is like an elevator pitch. It's short, brief, kind of highlights that needs to grab the reader and convince them that you know what you're talking about and it's worth reading on.
The executive summary should include a brief description of the business in plain English. Also, describe your key skills and the experience of the management team. Outline your marketing strategy, your competitive advantage. Briefly describe the operational issues of the business. And include some key financial figures. Your sales forecast, profit and loss, the date when you become cash flow positive, and the break-even sales point.
It's a living thing. The business plan lives because it's changing all the time, and a smart business operator will be reviewing that plan and probably about every 3 to 6 months.
As a business owner, I think the most important thing I've learned is that the business is a very dynamic thing. What may work this year may not necessarily work next year. The marketplace changes, people taste change. Especially in an industry like the restaurant industry, it is ever changing, therefore your business needs to be ever changing and you need to constantly review your business plan.